Have you ever wondered what it takes to crack that marketing interview? Hundreds of applicants, tens of shortlists, and many candidates interview. How do you stand out and get selected? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some of those secrets that can help you crack that marketing interview, or in fact, any other interview. Hello everyone, I'm Dhaval Patel, a graduate from IIM Kozhikode. I did my summers at Reckitt where I received a PPO. Now, to understand how to crack the interview, first we must understand the primary objective of that interview. But before we begin our video today, I would like to take a little bit of time to talk about the certificate program named MBA Placement Bootcamp from inside IIM and Altuni that can help you be placement ready and secure the dream offers from top companies. Whether it's sales and marketing role in an FMCG sector or the finance roles which interest you, this program has all the bases covered in the form of electives. With 15 live sessions, 25 hours of learning, CV building and interview tips from industry experts, this is a comprehensive program to help build the right intent for you before the placement session starts in your B school. Find the link in the description below to register for the MBA Placement Bootcamp program and ensure a cracking placement session on campus. Now, let's get back to the video. You've already made the CV shortlist, cleared the GD, and are now giving the interview. So the recruiters clearly like your credentials, but this is as far as your stellar CV prep can take you. Now, the main objective of this interview is to see if you, the candidate, is the right fit for the organization and vice versa. As an interviewee, we want to highlight the person behind the CV and showcase our qualities and personality traits that make us the right fit for the organization. But most importantly, we want to make sure that after interviewing 15 people, the interviewers remember you and your narrative, irrespective of whether you went first or last. So, how do we make you and your narrative memorable? And how did I do it for Reckitt such that I got an offer on the spot? Well, let's talk about it. First, introspect and start early. This is a process that starts well before your summers or finals, well before your CVs are even ready. Spend time thinking back to your life and identifying those incidents that have been truly impactful. From sports to academics or even just your life. Things that have gone on to impact you and highlight some of your positive traits. Write these down. Yes, write them down and try to create a narrative around them. Now, I prefer to use the context, action, and result framework, or CAR for short. For any answer you draft, set the context. Talk about the problem or the situation so the interviewer understands the relevance of this incident. For example, I started running in 2016. It started out as a source of relief for me, and that's what I spoke about. I mentioned that when I did my first half marathon, I had a lot of people who inspired me, and that made me want to give back. And I decided before I graduate, I would make sure I inspired another 20 people to do their first half marathon. That sets the context. It tells them why this is important to me. Next, you talk about the actions you took. I spoke about how my friend and I started a runners club in Manipal. We reached out to people and organized group runs, set up a buddy program, and slowly but surely we grew. Finally, you talk about the impact that had. So what did you achieve and what were its implications? As a result of my activities, we formed a culture of running in Manipal. The club grew to 200 plus members over the next 2 years, and by the time we graduated, we actually set up a marathon, touching thousands of lives. And that is the impact I want to show. Make sure you have at least 10 such incidents that you write about. It's not a fun activity, but when you seem to have just the right story for any question thrown at you, gosh, will you be glad. Second, craft a unique answer for tell me about yourself. Now this question deserves a special mention because you're bound to get this in most, if not all, interviews. Also, this is the place that most candidates fail to capture the opportunity. It is normally your first question, and how you can answer it can set how the rest of your interview goes. Ideally, you don't want to just highlight things that are easily available on your CV, like where you studied or what grades you got. It is important to mention them, but you also want to talk about you, your life experiences, and what makes you unique. For example, two key things that I did mention in my introduction were: 1. Who am I as a person? I'm a lively, curious, and upbeat individual, a very social person who would strike up a conversation with the person sitting next to me at the airport or a bus stop. What this does is straight away I'm starting differently from others, making it a little more human, talking about the person rather than the accolades and academics, and just setting the tone for the rest of the conversation. Second, I would always end my introduction by saying how, while in Manipal, I took up long distance running as a hobby, but with time it developed into a passion. Now, to spread the running bug, I co-founded the Runners Club, and how over the last few years, this running has actually become an integral part of my life. This would more often than not lead to follow-up questions around running and marathons, something I'm actually very comfortable talking about, and the passion in my answers would make me come off in an even better light. Find your thing to talk about and make sure you highlight those things. People will remember stories much better than they will remember numbers like grades. The guy who ran multiple marathons is a lot more memorable than the pharma grad from XYZ college, even though they're the same person. And that brings me to my third tip. Make it a conversation and make it genuine. This is probably the most important tip. You don't want the interview to turn into an interrogation. Try to stay calm and keep it conversational. You want to be able to answer the questions through a story. The better your narrative, the more memorable your answers, and thus the more memorable your overall interview will be. Now, this is not something that may come naturally to everyone, but that's why we start early and spend time writing as mentioned in the start of the video. Let's take a look at my answer for why I would want to do a sales role, even though some other companies might offer marketing roles from the get-go. I mentioned how even though my father had his own business, he once told me that the years he spent doing sales when he first started out gave him a thorough grounding and taught him how to work with the last mile in mind. Those learnings are something that have helped him innumerable times in the later years of his work and life actually. And that's why I want that sales experience for myself. This is quite different from the normal answer interviewers here. And it talks about a genuine connect I have, and the tone is quite conversational. Remember, the interviewers spend hours and hours talking to candidates. It becomes quite easy to see when someone is being genuine or if someone is just saying things for the sake of it. And my final tip would definitely be practice, practice, practice. No matter how good a narrator you think you are, practice is vital. If you keep thinking of the answers to these typical questions, you'll keep getting better iterations, and after a point, it will start coming out quite naturally, and your narrative will sound more refined. You can definitely give a few mock interviews, but speaking these answers out loud to yourself when walking or looking in the mirror works just as well, if not better. It's pretty much like preparing for that Oscar-winning speech or that player of the match interview you keep cooking up in your head.
A comfortable game in the end for you?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
That's all from my side, people. I hope these tips work for you just like they did for me. If you find them useful, please smash that like button. It helps us get you better content. And for more tips on all things MBA, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one with more on the world of marketing and MBA.